Hebrews chapter 1, starting at verse 1. Long ago, God spoke to our ancestors in many and various ways by the prophets. But in these last days, He has spoken to us by a Son, whom He appointed heir of all things, through whom He also created the worlds. Now, notice that God is being spoken of as the Father, and that God spoke by the prophets. This God, who is the Father, spoke by Isaiah, who said, "To whom will you liken me, and make me equal, and compare me, as though we were alike?" Yet the heretics, Trinitarians, apparently found somebody to liken him unto, to make him equal to compare him to, as though they were alike. Yet the Father knows none. Now also notice that it says, through whom He also created the worlds. So how is it that He created the worlds through the Son if the Son did not exist? In Hebrews chapter 1, starting at verse 3, He is the reflection of God's glory and the exact imprint of His person. And He sustains all things by His powerful word. When He had made purification for sins, He sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, having become as much superior to angels as the name He has inherited is more excellent than theirs. Now notice that He is not the Majesty on high, because He sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. Also notice that He is not God's person, rather He is the exact imprint of God's person. Therefore He is not the same essence or a person of the same essence, rather He is an imprint of that person, God, the Father. In Hebrews chapter 1, verse 5, "For to which of the angels did God ever say, 'You are my son, today I have begotten you'? Or again, 'I will be his father, and he will be my son'? And again, when He brings the firstborn into the world, He says, 'Let all God's angels worship Him.' Of the angels, He says, 'He makes His angels winds, and His servants flames of fire.'" I mean, you got to be completely blind to see that He is comparing the Son to angels to say that the Son is not an angel, nor where ever was. But the question then becomes, why is He comparing the Son to angels if the Son didn't pre-exist to begin with? Huh, Socinians? Get that through your mind. Now notice that He says, "Let all God's angels worship Him." But wait a second. I thought the angels were already worshiping God. Did the angels somehow get some kind of memory blank, get their, their memories wiped out, that they forgot that they already are worshiping Him, that God says, "Let all the angels worship Him"? Well, hold on a second. If He is a person of the essence of God, then the angels should already be worshiping Him, shouldn't they? Huh, Trinitarians? Also notice that He says when He brings the firstborn, He is already identified as the firstborn before what? Before He is brought into the world. Also notice that He quotes 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 14, right? Which is originally about Solomon. So if we take this and we go back to the Old Testament and we say, well, let's look at the context, what it says. Well, then what does it say? It identifies that Jesus is going to sin. If you call Him Jesus, I call Him Yeshua. So then He was a sinner. But yet the book of Hebrews says that He was without sin. First, you need to understand how the author of Hebrews is using the Old Testament, which majority of you don't know. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8. But of the Son, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The righteous scepter is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with oil of gladness beyond your fellows. Since when does God have fellows? Does not God already say, to whom will you liken me and make me equal and compare me as though we were alike? Yet Yeshua the Son, he has fellows. Also notice, when it's speaking about Yehovah, he is the God of gods. Yet the Son is identified as God, yet he has a God, so we know that he is not Yehovah, who is God of gods. For how can you be God of gods when you have a God? That's illogical. That's a contradiction. So where does that place him? It places him right there. Now, looking at verse 10 through verse 12. He expounds on verse 2, actually. He gets a little more deeper into the Son pre-existing. For it was the Son, or through the Son, better said, that the foundation of the world was laid. That the heavens were the works. Is this so hard to comprehend, Socinians? Now, here's the thing. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 5 quotes 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 14, which is originally about Solomon. But if we read the whole verse in the Old Testament, for those who try to say, well, let's get the context, it says, when he commits iniquity. When did Yeshua commit iniquity? You got to understand how the author of Hebrews is using the Old Testament. How he's using his quotes. It applies to Solomon just like it applies to Yeshua. The part that he quotes, that is. In this case, the part that he quotes is verse 10 through verse 12. Not everything, just like he doesn't quote the part where when he commits sin. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8 and 9 is quoting Psalm 45 verse 6 and 7, which is originally about a human king. Shall we say that Yeshua pre-existed as a human before? Some kind of reincarnation? All this is saying is that through Yeshua, God created the worlds, that God laid a foundation, etc. Consult 1 Corinthians chapter 8 verse 6. Creation is from God through Yeshua. Well, how is creation from God through Yeshua if Yeshua didn't pre-exist? Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8. Messiah Yeshua, the same yesterday and today and forever. Was he always Messiah? Acts chapter 2 verse 36. God has made him both Lord and Messiah. No, he wasn't. Was he always a man? John chapter 1 verse 14. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. No, he wasn't. Was he always alive? Revelation chapter 1 verse 18. I was dead, and see, I am alive forever and ever. No, he wasn't. Then how was he the same yesterday, today, and forever? The answer should be simple. After he was resurrected, or even after he was glorified. This is what it's saying, not previously, because he wasn't always Messiah, he wasn't always a man, and he wasn't always alive. Is this so hard to comprehend? Hebrews chapter 2 verse 10. It was fitting that he, for whom and through whom all things exist, in the bringing many children to glory, should make the captain of their faith perfect through sufferings. And again, in Hebrews chapter 5 verse 8, although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. And having been made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation for all who obey him. Well, hold on here. Why should the Son learn obedience if he himself is 100% God and 100% man? Who is he going to be obedient to? Himself? This is ludicrous. Come on, Trinitarians. Notice he wasn't always perfect. He became perfect through what he suffered. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22 through 24. This is amazing. Let's read this. But you have come to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to innumerable angels in festival gathering, and to the assembly of the firstborn who was enrolled in heaven, and to the God the judge of all, and to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, and to Yeshua, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. Now notice how he separates. There's a separation between the innumerable angels, between the assembly of God, between God the judge of all, between the spirits of the righteous, and between Yeshua, the mediator of a new covenant. Well, hold on a second. Yeshua is separated from the angels. He's separated from the assembly. He's separated from the spirits of the righteous. And what else is he separated from? Come on, it's not hard. He's separated from God. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 24. Let's pound this thing. Let's pound this concept into your brains. For Messiah did not enter a sanctuary made by human hands, a mere copy of the true one, but he entered into heaven itself. To do what? To now appear in the presence of God on our behalf. So how is he God if he's going to appear in the presence of God? Get this through your heads. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 18. For in that he himself has suffered being tempted, he is able to succor them that are tempted. Likewise in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. For we have not a high priest who cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Because he did not give in to those temptations as we do. Now, how was he suffering while being tempted? What kind of temptation is this that he suffered being tempted? Was it, let me go, I don't know, this is temptation to go heal this guy, but I don't know, I'm suffering inside, let me go heal him, but I don't know. No. He suffered being tempted. Our infirmities. Tempted as we are. Think about that. Let that sink into your head. For God cannot be tempted with evil. What are we tempted with? What is this text speaking about? Tempting what? Tempting with evil. Isn't it obvious yet that he is a pre-existent one? For why? For he's compared to as angels. But why is he compared to as angels if he didn't pre-exist? Why does the text say, let all God's angels worship him if he is God and should already be worshipped? The truth is that Trinitarians and Socinians are both heretics.